Yo, what's up? Mo the Fro here to help you get into Wharton for show. I'm here today to give you all the little juicy admission secrets that Wharton doesn't want you to know. And let's start with an overview. So if you clicked on this video, you likely already know what Wharton is. And if you don't, why are you here? But either way, Wharton is the business school at Penn. It is essentially a separate school from the other schools from the College of Arts and Sciences, from Penn Engineering, and from nursing. Although the schools do collaborative events together, you have to apply separately. You have to write a separate application to get into Wharton from all the other schools. Each school requires its own application, and Wharton has its own set of questions that they want to know. That's pretty much the overview, and they teach business. I mean, pretty apparent in a business school. But let's talk a little bit about academics and what they're looking for in a student at Wharton. So if you're applying to Wharton, you also probably already know that Wharton's an Ivy, and it's pretty standard for the Ivy League and what they look for in academics of a student. I mean, 1450 SAT plus, preferably 1550 plus. And usually they like to see a couple of APs, as many as possible usually. But if a school doesn't offer APs, that's not on you. And Wharton doesn't usually care. They just want to see that you took the most advanced classes that your school has. Or at least try to take some advanced classes. Usually 3.8 GPA or above, as close as you can get to 4.0 is good, but you guys already know these things, standard Ivy League stuff. One thing that's unique about Wharton is they really care about calculus. They really care about math and calculus. If you took Calc BC, that's awesome. Even AP is good. And they even write on their website that they care a lot about math preparation of students. Calc BC, by the way, is the highest level of math that Wharton requires, so unless you're doing some specific concentration or some secondary minor that requires something else, Wharton usually just wants to see Calc BC. But let's get into the essay, as the essay is the thickest part of the application and the longest part of the application. So Wharton essentially asks you two questions in your essay, the first of which being, why do you want to go to Wharton? And this seems like a harmless question. I mean, a lot of schools ask you why you want to go to that school, but Wharton cares in particular about why you want to study business. And it really has to do with the fact that Wharton is obviously a business school, but business is a rather uncommon undergraduate major. Many schools don't offer it. Even top colleges, Stanford, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, they don't offer business majors. So Wharton is really interested in, well, why did you apply to Wharton? Why do you want to get a business degree? And this type of question is even more important to a school like Wharton than it is to other colleges. So what Wharton really wants to see from their application is a very strong, cemented reason for doing business. And usually they want to see some past experience or some kind of impetus that kind of made you want to go into business. Business isn't really taught at the high school level either. I mean, there's economics, but there's not really like business courses or courses about how you run businesses. That's what a business course is. But because of that, Wharton is really interested in kind of what you did outside of class to kind of get your interest in business. Aside from that, it's a really simple question, really just asking you why you want to come to our school, and it's not like a school like Stanford or UChicago that are a little bit more creative with their prompts. That being said, there are a number of other ways to answer it, and there are a number of other things that you should include in your application if you feel that they're important to you. Things like the culture of the school that appeal to you, or specific programs or opportunities at the school that you think are going to be useful to your career, or what you want to do in the future. Things like being surrounded by a lot of other students interested in entrepreneurship and wanting to start a business, or things like having recruiters from top finance firms or IB firms coming to recruit you and giving you that job security. I will say something interesting about Wharton is that they're starting to stray away from their bread and butter of finance and consulting. So if you know anything about Wharton and its culture, you know that the majority of students go into either finance or consulting at their time at, consulting is not really a major, but after their time at Wharton, they go into IB, investment banking, or consulting, and those are the two most common tracks for Wharton. And a bunch of Wharton staff have essentially expressed their dislike of this. The fact that the school is really only feeding into two majors and really missing out on entrepreneurship and tech. And Wharton has been essentially trying to push more students into the entrepreneurship route and push more entrepreneurship and innovation types of kind of things on campus. For example, the Venture Lab, which is a makerspace on campus that allows you to go and learn laser cutting, 3D printing, and just how to make stuff. Wharton helped build that in conjunction with Penn. And Wharton just has a lot of programming geared towards entrepreneurship now. A lot of staff, like I said, have expressed their dislike and really their interest in bolstering entrepreneurship on campus as opposed to finance and consulting. That doesn't mean that those two routes are bad, and if that's what your true interest is, go ahead and write about it. But Wharton really cares about kind of people who are going to go out and lead the world and do something unique. And that's what any other college cares about, in all honesty. They want people that are going to graduate, make a lot of money, gain a lot of prestige, and bring name to their school, and hopefully donate back to it. And people who are leading and kind of starting companies have a high chance of hitting it big and bringing a lot of that prestige, especially. People might make a lot of money in the finance or consulting world, but the prestige is really part of what a school wants. Anyway, moving on to the second essay prompt, Wharton asks a question along the lines of, tell us about your unique identity and perspective and how it'll contribute to the Wharton community and how the Wharton community will contribute to your unique identity and perspective. There's some chiasmus going on there. But anyway, Wharton essentially wants to know who you are as a person, what your identity is, and what kind of unique perspectives you have, and how that'll influence their community. What will them admitting you bring to the school? What benefit will it bring them? And then, of course, they want to know how you think the kind of culture and the perspectives of people that you meet on campus are going to shape your identity and how they're going to influence you. As, of course, we're all in college, or at least you're applying to college, and you're growing up and kind of learning about yourself for the most part, although some people, I guess, aren't. But anyway, you're learning about yourself, and because of that, Wharton really wants to know how you think that Wharton will help you grow as a person. So for this question, I mean, it's really straightforward. Penn's essays are thankfully pretty straightforward, but they essentially want you to talk about what unique things you have going on with your identity and perspective. If you have some religious affiliation or cultural affiliation, or you just have some unique ideas, talk about that and talk a little bit about how you think that that'll contribute to the community, whether you'll have debates with people on campus or you'll get to know a lot of different people on campus and share your ideas and share your unique beliefs or your unique thought. And that's pretty simple. I mean, that's pretty much what they want from what you're going to offer to the Wharton community. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how do I differentiate myself from other people's unique perspectives and identities? I mean, they're all unique. How do I make mine stand out? And that's a good question. But in all honesty, I think that it comes down to just really thinking about what makes you you. What kind of unique things you have going on that other people don't have, that most people don't have. And everyone has them. I mean, obviously everyone's unique, but I think it comes down to doing introspection and figuring out what about me is something that is beneficial to the people around me or to a community, and how can that benefit the Wharton community? How can I say that this will help bring thought to campus, essentially, bring unique thought, or help change the perspective of other people? And then when it asks how you think the community will essentially shape your identity and perspective, there are a lot of things you can talk about here. Essentially, I would do some research on Wharton and kind of find out some things about the community, but some examples are the fact that Wharton's quite diverse in terms of international students. It has a high international student population, unlike other schools. That's a very, interesting and unique perspective. It has business students, obviously, which offer a unique perspective. People that are interested in going into certain fields, obviously, are going to bring a unique perspective. Or the fact that everyone's studying business within the school, and that business, almost all fields are closely related, and you're going to all be taking pretty much the same classes for the most part. And maybe that imparts some unique perspective on you. But really, you just have to kind of think about yourself. This question is incredibly personal and incredibly tailored, so it's a little bit hard to kind of give a one-size-fits-all answer. But essentially, you just gotta think about yourself and think about the Wharton culture and how those two things mesh together. And that about wraps it up for my guide on how to get into Wharton. Just some quick closing thoughts from me personally. This is no longer the objective advising session. But I personally think that currently entrepreneurship and kind of social impact stuff are really big at Wharton. And those things are really, really kind of helping people get in. Even a lot of people talk about social impact investing or environment. Wharton recently launched a new major where, they've always been trying to push the environmental stuff, at least in the past few years. But they're trying to push it a little bit more now. And I think that really writing about environmental stuff or entrepreneurship type stuff, or even both, is a really solid way to get into Wharton. Most schools have really been caring about, environmentalism as of recent. Like, climate issues are only getting worse, and kind of schools are caring a little bit more and more every year about those types of issues. So if you're interested in any of those two things, and you maybe have some experience in them, writing about it, I think, would be a really good way to get into Wharton. But that about wraps it up for my personal tips and my kind of thoughts on the best way to get into Wharton. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and comment what college I should do next. Thanks.